This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. There's lots of other people who are nervous about this, what the future is. We just mentioned Arn and Tully are out of here. The Bushwhackers are out of here. Hypothetically, we know the Bushwhackers are going to go on to become a staple and have a long run there and probably have their biggest claim to fame. But it is interesting to look back in hindsight and say, what if Jimmy Crockett could have let cooler heads prevail and found a way to placate, for lack of a better word, Arn and Tully, and they stick around. But the Horsemen are never really the same ever again. They try to put together the thing a few more times, but they had quite a run going here. What do you think Arn and Tully's career would have looked like had they not tried the WWF? Because we know Tully never comes back. And it's interesting to sort of fantasy book knowing what he's capable of behind the mic, even now in 2020. I mean, he's cut some of the most compelling promos of the year and goosebump moments. And he's been on the outside looking in for a long time in professional wrestling. But what if they had hung around? How different do you think their careers could have looked?
Well, you don't lose two all pros and not hurt you. So obviously having the services of one of the greatest tag teams in the history of the business,
right,
and two great minds, was not a plus. So yeah, it was a difference maker. If they had stayed there, if they stayed there, Conrad, it would have depended on how they were used, how they were positioned. Do they have a hand in, in their own creative, or are they just going to show up to TV and here's what you're doing tonight?
Right.
That's not how you do veterans that have product knowledge. I use Tony Khan as a reference in the show a lot because that's who I'm working for right now. Tony encourages the talent to have ideas. He encourages the talent to participate in the creative process because he's smart enough to know, just like Bill Watts was, if you got a top guy and you let him have a piece of the creative that he's personally involved in, he'll bust his ass to make sure it's executed properly and effectively for the company. And so if that would have been the case, then the Arn and Tully would have been great. But, just to have them on the roster was good. Their match quality was amazing. I've always felt that Arn and Tully were one of the top 4 or 5 tag teams that I ever called matches for. I mean, they're that good. So you got to think that if they'd stayed, it would have been a positive, only if they were allowed to have a hand in the creative. The first thing I'd have done if I was a booker there was bring my top guys in individually and say, here's the deal. It ain't going to be all me.
Right.
I need your help. I want you to help book your own angles. And I could give them the direction of, okay, I want you to start off with the Midnight Express for hypothetically. Now, let's talk about some ideas for the Midnight. Let's get this thing hot. How do we do that? How do you feel like what we need to do to make it work? And you get them, they have ownership. So it's like the ownership is not unlike, I've used this analogy before. It's not unlike paying a salesperson a commission. You want them to have ownership to some degree of the success of their brand and of their personal brand. So, but gosh almighty, they're just, both guys, were brilliant. Tully is a real stabilizing factor, as is Arn there at AEW. And they both have different agendas. They're not together. Tully's working with FTR and my mind is weak this morning. My man with the glove.
Sean Spears.
Sean Spears, yeah. I like Sean. It sounds like I know him, but I do. Very underrated guy. And then Tully, Arn, of course, is married to Cody and Cody's adversaries. So they have different agendas, but they're both contributing. And I think that's important. So you can't lose guys like that and not hurt you, put it that way.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money, it's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.